Hello, everybody, and welcome to this SPK and Associates vlog. My name is Michael Roberts, and I'm the Vice President of Sales and Marketing here at SPK. Today, we're going to talk about the tug of war between security and innovation. And when people think about cybersecurity in aerospace and defense, they think about protecting networks or preventing cyber attacks. But increasingly, the software development environment itself has become one of the most important assets to secure. Now, the good news is security and innovation don't have to compete with one another in this area. In fact, when engineering organizations build the right secure development platform, they often discover that they can improve collaboration, increase developer productivity, and accelerate delivery, all while still strengthening that security and governance approach. So joining me today is someone with firsthand experience in navigating these types of challenges. I'm excited to welcome Lemuel Valdez. Lemuel, please introduce yourself.
Thanks, Michael. It's actually a pleasure being here. So, who am I? I'm Lemuel Valdez. I'm the Chief Information Security Officer here at Cobham Satcom, where I lead the cybersecurity, product security, governance, risk, and pretty much, you name it, secure engineering across a global organization. So, what we do, we develop actually satellites and mission critical communications technologies for commercial, maritime, government, and public sector customers. So why me? So my background really spans secure software development, product security, supply chain, and implementing and looking at international regulatory frameworks, which include CMC, NIST, NIST2, ISO, IE 62443, and other MilGov and critical infrastructure related frameworks that you get to see.
So we get to talk to somebody that really has to do this in the real world today. So this is going to be an interesting conversation. So let me know for organizations that are developing these mission critical communication technologies, what does a secure software development environment really mean, and why is it so important to protect both the intellectual property and to build that customer trust?
Really, it depends how you look at it and what your definition, how you look at it from a secure dev environment really means, right? So for mission critical communications, uh, a secure software development environment is not just a lockdown laptop and a firewall. It is an engineered socio-technical system where people, processes, platforms are really designed to prevent compromise from ever propagating into deploying code. And I think at times we spend asking the wrong question, where instead of looking at it from a how do we secure software development, we have to put that engineering first approach. The better question in my mind has always been, how do we get the engineers to trust every single line of code, but also sure it's applicable to how they develop? And for us, as an organization, software simply isn't an application anymore. It's part of an operational capability. So looking at it this way, vulnerabilities isn't just a bug. It can become an intelligent collection opportunity, a supply chain risk attack, or even a mission failure. So a modern secure development environment isn't just about your Git, isn't it about your CI/CD environment, or even your code scans. It's basically when an artifact or the environment itself, from requirements, source collection, dependencies, and the like, is authenticated, traceable, and verified. And that's really, really what for me is important, the practicality of it. That there has to be some sort of isolation, but encouragement that people can develop safely and securely and being minimally hindered, but still having the assurance behind what being is developed. And that is really, really important for things that we develop as a mission critical comms environment. A compromised build pipeline can become an on ramp for adversaries into operational networks. And an exfiltrated repo can leak classified design patterns, implementation, or spectrum management logic that is effectively our own crown jewel, right? For me, it means that we have to secure identities, least privileges, reproduction builds, and the like. But the objective really isn't simply to stop hackers. It's that we need to provide confidence that the software we deploy today is exactly the software engineers are intending to build, right? Customers that we do have, particularly, governments, public sector, and the like, aren't buying just software. What they're buying is assurance, and a trust is becoming a more competitive differentiator in this market.
I love that. And probably the couple things that I'm going to pick out of what you said that I liked. It is the way that engineers work, right? It's not just, well, here's some software and go build software on top of it. It has to match the way that they work. And you mentioned the social component too, the process component. Like they have to feel like this is part of the way that they're working to be able to get an outcome and a capability. Really important. So moving to the next component here, and I realize that especially to do something like this is going to require modernization and using more modern frameworks and more modern infrastructure and whatnot. So every modernization effort has hurdles. We've all been through it at some point. So what are the biggest technical or organizational challenges that teams face when they're building a platform that's capable of supporting something like CMMC2 requirements?
Okay. So what most people always think about is that they have to look at it from what you already have. Most organizations think of frameworks such as CMMC is a sole security problem. It isn't. The biggest challenge isn't really CMMC itself. It's the organizational complexity and how to deal with it, right? Many companies have world-class engineers working in systems that were never designed to work together. But if you look at how developers actually work, developers use one single platform, security another, operations another, and compliance another platform on top of all of this. And then you have all the executives looking at 9, 10 different dashboards showing different truths where the reality of the matter is the next generation of engineering platforms need to break those silos. Without breaking those silos, we are unable to implement frameworks completely pragmatically and holistically. Rather than having security generate report after engineering finishes, and engineering report does another one that generates an assurance of software, it needs to become more transformational. And in my personal opinion, that's both using AI, but also ensuring that communication is done at the level where it should be. You know, you are unable to implement unable to implement frameworks such as CMMC or ISO without breaking that mold that you already have. And the difficult part is changing that decades long of engineering culture, but also changing how we operate. What is most important is look at the tools that you have. And we did, we have to look at it from a way that organizations have always accumulated dozens of disconnected tools. That the reality is, what everyone's been preaching from a vendor side and others is that those disconnected tools can actually be integrated together to form one single enhanced monitoring platform. Instead of actually having separate identity platforms, separate scanners, manual spreadsheets, and email approvals, they don't scale. And that's the
Spreadsheets
fact of
don't
the
scale.
matter.
That's right. That's right.
They don't. And this is why we started looking at it from, okay, what do the engineers actually using? They're using engineer Jira. Okay, we have our own ticketing system in IT. Why don't we just merge things together and actually work together in one single platform? Because it gives more visibilities. Engineers don't actually know what's happening within an environment. The organizations that are actually succeeding in building developer platforms, not security platforms. Developers shouldn't really need to understand every control family of within CMC or ISO or any other thing they like. But the platform should itself make secure behavior the easiest behavior. And another challenge is just evidencing, right? CISOs, security folk alike should not spend time evidencing on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis. Let the platform do the evidencing for you. We need to go away and move away from the mindset that we need to prepare for an audit 6 months in advance, right? Modern organizations should expect to generate evidences continuously. Every pipeline execution, approval, deployments, code review, everything needs to become evidence by design. That's where engineering maturity actually really meets compliance maturity, is having a platform that does the work for you. Now, what I'm getting asked at times is, where does AI fit into this? AI becomes transformational. Instead of analysts collecting evidences, you can have AI help, uh, look at it from a engineering activity perspective. It helps you map it to regulatory requirements so that, engineers don't have to know, control XYZ means XYZ or BYDX, right? It helps them look at it from how it should be generated, how it should look like, and how it's supposed to be applied in the environment. They don't need to know how, it really should be. AI can
Uh,
do.
I love your point when you said the easiest path should be the path that the platform allows the engineer to proceed in, which should be right the auditable, easily traceable path.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay, last question here. So, if another engineering organization's just at the beginning of this whole journey towards building that secure software development platform, what's one piece of advice that you give them to help avoid some common mistakes and some things you've talked about today?
Yeah, so that I would have to give an advice about buying tools. Okay, instead of buying tools first, the most valuable move is to treat your secure engineering platform as a product with a roadmap, stakeholders, and clear value proposition. Okay, practical and non-obvious advice for me has always been start with a thin slice. Pick one representative product line or program and build a secure pipeline end to end, from code commits to sign artifacts, and use it as a reference implementation. Don't just say to them, "Oh, I'm gonna build it out for everything." It doesn't work, right? Co-design with your developers and compliance. Adopt an engineering first mindset. Put engineering, security, compliance in the same room and define what secure enough to ship actually really means. And then we need to encode those criteria as pipeline, gates, instead of Word documents that engineers are never going to read. Okay? Because they won't. And begin to ask yourself, how should software move from an idea to production? And build it into those stages that maybe they already have. Engineers may not be in security, but they know how to code. They know how to check if their codes are going to work. They know quality gates. It might be having a different word in security, but that's what they already have. You can embed it into what they already have. And too many organizations, for me, they look at it from a tools perspective before actually understanding the developer workflows. And that's one of the things that's really backwards. The best secure development platforms I've seen are designed around people, not controls. Okay. And it's really one thing, you won't reach the dreams of zero trust, CMC overnight. You won't achieve software supply chain integrity overnight. You treat it like a continuous engineering improvement. Even in our organization, we still do. We don't have a perfect platform that we just sleep and that's it. We have people within this organization that their job is to improve the platform and modernize it and ensure it is fit for purpose for now, but also for the future. But what's really important is, and what I've seen is culture. Celebrate the small wins. Aim from a continuous risk reduction perspective, but celebrate the little tiny things that you've actually achieved. It doesn't just improve culture, but it actually creates that mindset of improvement and engineering first approach better.
Lemuel, thanks for your guidance and insight there. Like that's having somebody who's been through this is really important to share with others because now knowing your journey, like I can definitely say like that is the best advice that you can give to somebody else trying to do something similar. So thank you for your time today. Really appreciate it. So one of the biggest takeaways I think from this discussion and creating that secure software development environment is it isn't about just checking compliance boxes or passing audits. It's about creating an engineering environment where developers can build innovative products with confidence, understanding the culture and the processes and the tools that are involved, and hopefully, generate some really cool code with great intellectual property that are protected during that entire software development lifecycle. So as organizations continue adopting those AI assisted environments, modern DevSecOps practices and all the things around that are increasingly concerned about being secure and having a secure and scalable and compliant development environment. And it's not about just reducing risk. It's really about building that environment that allows you to go faster, innovate better, and maintain that competitive advantage. So if your organization is evaluating how to modernize its software development platform, strengthen compliance efforts, or improve that developer productivity while maintaining all the security, we have a team here at SPK and Associates that can help with that. So again, thanks to Lemuel and thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on another SPK and Associates blog.